Kelsey Mitchell's WNBA free agency continues to be a story, but the Fever have come out once again and said she is their number one priority in the offseason. Of course, Mitchell herself had expressed some uncertainty, saying it's the first time she's been a free agent. She owes it to herself to go through the process. She doesn't know what uniform she'll be wearing next season. But a few things. Number one, that's she's entitled to. She's a free agent. That's what happens. And she's going to be fun to watch, whatever uniform she's wearing. But number two, I do think Kelsey Mitchell's status was raised playing with the Indiana Fever because more people were aware of her playing next to Caitlin Clark. And I think her game was raised playing next to Caitlin Clark because of all the attention Clark receives, the kind of dimes Clark can dish out, and of course, Aaliyah Boston as well, taking some of that attention, which allowed Kelsey to cook, both as a catch and shoot player and as a player boogieing off the dribble. And when you play on the Fever, you get to be a bigger celebrity. That's part of it. That comes with more scrutiny as well. We'll see how it all shakes out. Another little wrinkle is the fact that the Fever can core her. I didn't know if they would do that or not, considering, if a player wants to leave, you might be hesitant to tag them with that core distinction. But Fever president Kelly Krauskopf said, if it were her, she would see it as an honor to be dubbed a franchise player. So made it seem like she wasn't opposed to using that core distinction on Kelsey Mitchell, which would ensure she would be back with the Fever. Let's look at that interview she was on with Locked On Women's Basketball. Howard Megdal, good guy. He and I talked a lot during the WNBA Finals and the WNBA playoffs. I'll drop the link to this full conversation in the description, but here is a portion.
So I wonder how you approach this year. Do you try and look at it short term? What are sort of the nature of the conversations to try and, sell her on continuing in the vision of where you guys are and where you don't?
Yeah. I think honestly, most players who are unrestricted free agents are most likely looking at 1-year deals. Mm-hmm. So that's not unusual. And it certainly doesn't change our opinion of how important Kelsey is and how important, she is to returning to this team. So that she's our number one priority. Yes, we do have the opportunity to core her. And it would be sort of irresponsible of me if we didn't utilize that opportunity. Right. So, going beyond that, I can't speak to that because I don't know what the future is, and can't really even talk about it, as well. So sure. we're really focused on the 2025 season. And then trying to sign and grab, some more experienced players if we can, under the, regulations that we have. But I feel pretty confident that we've got something to offer a lot of players. This is a place where, we take care of players here. We have a tremendous company, top to bottom, Pacer side, Fever side, G League side. We're all in this together. This is a basketball company, basketball community. It's about experience for players. I've had players leave and go to other teams, and they're like, "Man, I was wrong. The grass is not greener." And that's happened on the Pacer side too, by the way. Sure. So it's, we know we have something special here, and it's our people. It's the fan base around here. People sort of galvanize together, and it doesn't matter who's playing on any given night in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They're going to be there.
And just to, to kind of button that up on the Kelsey side, coring as sort of it's been taken different ways by different players through the years. But in this situation where, like you said, everyone's operating on a 1-year time frame right now because of this CBA negotiation, do you feel like there's an opportunity, especially when there's communication with it that comes along, to have that be ultimately not taken as a negative as you go forward with it?
Yeah, you would hope. I think it's more of an honor, you've reached the level of, if I'm a player, it's like they think I'm important enough that I'm the tagged the franchise player. That's the way I would look at it, because those don't come along very often, and when you have the opportunity to do that, you want to use it on your most important player. Mm-hmm. And Kelsey Mitchell is that for us. She's in the mix. The Clark Mitchell backcourt is about as lethal as you can get. And we need another year to see just how much damage those two can do in the backcourt. to go even further, because you spent the first half of the season just getting used to each other. Then the second half of the season, you saw just how efficient and how good they can be. And then we have to be better defensively. We were 11th overall in defense as a team. So our area of growth is really on the defensive end.
And in last year's WNBA, the leader.
So there you see, I like I said, I will put the link to the in the description. But that does not sound like a franchise that is willing to let Kelsey Mitchell leave in free agency. In fact, my tune has shifted, even just hearing that back completely, in the sense of Mitchell was expressing uncertainty, but the Fever front office doesn't seem to have that level of uncertainty. And who doesn't want to see Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell run it back? Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell as a backcourt were as dynamic as it gets. I compare it to LeBron and Kyrie a little bit, or Luka and Kyrie, where one was the engine, taking the attention, dishing it out, making the decisions. The other is the scorer, cooking off of that engine. And that was the dynamic between Clark and Mitchell. Now, of course, Mitchell is a free agent. She wants to go out there, be courted, all those things that come along with free agency. But as the Fever team president said, that the organization has the right to core her, which means they could bring her back on a one-year deal, which seems to be the way WNBA contracts are trending anyway, because of the looming new CBA, where players aren't going to want to lock themselves into long-term deals, knowing more new money is coming in shortly with the new media rights deal that was signed and the boom in popularity. Right now, Kelsey Mitchell's off in China. She has to play for another team in the offseason. But after hearing Kelly Krauskopf, the Fever team president, speak, I have to believe it's more likely than not that Mitchell is indeed wearing an Indiana Fever uniform and rejoining that backcourt with Caitlin Clark, the Splash Sisters, if you will. But we'll see. I mean, none of that's decided until the contract is actually signed, right? None of that is determined until the ink is dry. But the Fever were such a show, and it was so fun to watch, and they're full of great personalities, and I think Kelsey Mitchell is included in that, right? Like, just has a big smile, an infectious game and style. She's fun to watch. She's fast. So no matter where she's playing, as I've said, I'd be happy to see her. Aaliyah Boston, same way, just a lovely woman. It seems like super intelligent on the court and off. Caitlin Clark, super humble for her star power. Lexi Hull, a hard worker. Temi Fagbenle had the right attitude last year. Erica Wheeler had the right attitude. And not all those players will be back necessarily, but the Fever, considering all the noise and attention around them, it would be a tough blow to see the core blown up, I guess, pun intended.